Welcome. On the day where in one part of the world there must be a crown new double world champion, we are back in the virtual world in Silverstone here in Sri Lanka for the start of the second SRL Esports F1 World Championship in Sri Lanka. And boy, have we been waiting for this for so long. The championship consists of 8 rounds. It's starting at Silverstone. As you can see, qualifying has started, but before the drivers actually start their quali laps, I'm just going to give you a bit of an intro of the championship. So, as I said, it's 8 rounds of the championship. It's starting here at Silverstone. Then the second round is going to be at Spa and Suzuka, Imola, Monza, Montreal, Austria, and the season finale or the championship finale will be at Interlagos. Last year, it was a very animated, exciting championship with Fauzul winning the crown as a champion with 3 races to go, and with multiple winners and a lot of contenders for the top 5 places. And the midfield battle was likewise as heated as ever. Right, so qualifying has started. We've got the usual contenders here, but this time around, Fauzul is not taking part, but he's taking a sabbatical, and so am I. I usually would like to be, in the driving seat in the same racing with these guys, but this year, we've got a spin. We've got an AlphaTauri spinning right down into turn 1. But so this year, let me just go through the drivers list, and we've got Malcolm Madushan in the number 77 in the Alfa Romeo, Mayanta Shavin in the Alpine, Anuka Pereira and Abdullah will be racing here as well, but they've got random cars, as they've got busy lives as well, and they won't be taking part for all the races. But they're putting their names, so looking forward to see them take part in. We got Savirat Naika in the other Alpine. We got Shanu in the Aston Martin, number 5 with Sebastian Vettel's number. Nadil De Silva on the Williams. We got the 2 Ferrari drivers, Melo and Andrew. So that's going to be a heated up red battle. So looking forward to see that. We got Mithila Haputantri in the Haas. In the McLaren we got Nemo Pereira, and in the Mercedes we've got Rashida. And the Mercedes, we got Rashida, we got Rakib Hassan in the other McLaren, and we got Sanuka Gamage in the AlphaTauri. We got Navin in the other Mercedes, featuring the number 44 of Lewis Hamilton. And we got Rivera Gunasingh, I think Mr. Red Bull, aka Mr. Red Bull, in the number 1 of Max Verstappen. And we got Randika Veera Varnakulas, sorry for the if I misspelled his surname, guys, but in the other Red Bull, and we got Kevin Du in the other AlphaTauri, and we got Damir Dishan in the other Haas. So when it comes to the racing, guys, for those who haven't actually come up, and for those of you who are quite new to this championship by SRL, the game that the guys are playing here is on the Assetto Corsa game for PC, and the car mod that we are going to be using is the RSS Formula Hybrid by Race Sim Studio, and with the 2022 liveries on them. The tyres that they'll be using across throughout the season will be the C1, C2, C3, C4 and C5, the C1 being the hardest of the compound and the C5 being the softest of the compound, so similarly being called the ultra soft. Qualifying will be of 10 minutes, which has already started. And the race will be followed after a 2-3 minute break, so the guys have the time to basically prepare their pit stops, put in their basic pit stop, the fueling, and select the tires for the race. in the race, they basically have to use 2 tire compounds throughout the whole race. 2 types of tire compounds throughout the, otherwise they'll be penalized, and they'll have to do a mandatory pit stop as well, or otherwise they'll be penalized as well. And in race control, we got Moray and Haritha Gadget, who'll be looking very closely at the on-track incidents, and for any and there'll be drivers will be penalized for any incorrect, for any unfair behavior right throughout the whole season. So we have started in qualifying, and the guys have put in some of the lap times. We've got Abdullah first fastest now with a 1:27.9. We got Savi Ratnayaka with a 1:27 with 1:28.7. We got Andrew, Navira, Rashita, Riru, and everyone else who has put in their initial lap times. And we've got right at the bottom we got Mithila, who hasn't put a time in yet. Everyone is on the C5, which is the softest of the compound, and we are on board right now with Mithila in the house going through turn 1 and turn 2. To tell you about the track, guys, this is a very exciting track. It's one of the iconic historic track in the Formula 1 calendar. It consists of 18 corners right throughout. It's a medium to high speed, so there needs to be a balance of basically you need to have a good air efficiency around the car, in your setup, and you need to make sure that you got good downforce as well for the high speed corners as well. We got 2 straights where the cars will reach up to 325 kilometers per hour up to 8th gear, and we've got couple of heavy braking zones as well. Couple heavy zones as well down into turn 3, into turn 6, and at Stove, which is turn 15. So we are now riding on board with we are riding with Sanuka on the TV cam. He's going through the famous Maggots and Becketts, Maggots and Becketts. So these are very iconic corners. We are riding now with Mello in the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz, going to the turn 1, turn 2, and turn 3 complex. So let's look at the lap times meanwhile. We've got Abdullah, who's right now still first fastest in the Red Bull, actually, with a 1:27.9, which is a pretty competitive time. And he's got right about 9 to 8 tenths to Savi Ratnayaka and Andrew also as well in the 1:27.8s. Second place Savi, Andrew, Navira are basically spaced between a tenth. So that's pretty competitive. And then we've got Rashid as well. So these guys are basically putting in their lap times, trying to get a good setup for their one lap runs. So guys, for anyone who's actually following us, I'm actually can't see who's actually commenting on the chat. I'm coming live using my phone. So next week we'll have a proper setup, so I'll be able to interact with our audience. For anyone who's actually following us, make sure to like our channels, both Facebook and YouTube, and make sure that to share it around so that we can increase this community and have a bit of more of an audience as well, right, all over Sri Lanka and all over the world. So we're still with Andrew, who's gonna put in a representative lap time this time around. He's still 12th fastest with a 1:53.1, and Andrew is third with a 1:27 with 1:28.7. With 5 minutes to go, let's see who's gonna take pole position. At the moment, the provisory pole is with Abdullah in the Red Bull of Max. In the Red Bull of Max Verstappen. Yes, in the Red Bull, it's showing me as number 1. So I think Abdullah is with Max Verstappen's car number. Oh, he's in the Alfa Romeo. I'm really sorry, guys. So he's actually the random player. So he's actually in the Alfa Romeo, and the race number is actually assigned not any random manner as well. And Rivino actually is in Max Verstappen's car. Thank you, Sash. He's also in the race control, who's actually coordinating all the cams. And there we go. First fastest goes the Ferrari of Andrew Mello with a 1:27.652, and that's that's basically 2 tenths up on Abdullah in the Alfa Romeo, and we got my stream back on, and we're riding with Rashita Raptor, aka Raptor, who's now going through Luffield 6-7 and onto Woodcut, which is turn 8, and onto the famous, and then we are coming on to turn 9, which is the famous Cops Corner, as all of you know, with the whole incident between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. He's taking that flat out at 290 kilometers in 7th gear. Last year the cars actually could run it into 8th gear flat out, but this year the cars are pretty different, as you can see. It's a very different car to the 2021 championship. Haven't driven the 2021 car myself, and tested the 2022 car. Actually, it was another mod, but the physics are quite changed. So,
sorry to interrupt. Shaz, please lower down the car volumes. Sometimes we can't hear the commentary.
Thank you, More. And so, as I was saying, the cars have got very different physics. I don't know if most of you guys have been following the eSport Championship done by Formula One itself. We've got the drivers who were competitive last year with the 2021 car reg, and this year they are pretty much still struggling to find the right setup window. These cars have got porpoising as well. As you know, it's basically for most of you who don't know what porpoising is, it's basically the car, at high speeds, basically jumping up and down like a dolphin, like a porpoise, like a dolphin on track, and that basically gives the driver, especially in the braking zones, in real life, the drivers will have a bit of physical challenges as well. But for sim races, it's basically, especially for those who are driving in cockpit mode, they're unable to basically point the braking zones as well. So in heavy braking zones, it's pretty hard. But the other way that the porpoising can affect you is through high-speed corners. So basically, in maggots and brackets. So as we follow around with Andrew, I'll show you around. If this car has porpoise, especially here, the braking zone here, it will be really hard for him to pinpoint. But it's something that you get used to. And if many of you actually watched this year's in the real-life Silverstone race, we saw the Mercedes and Ferrari struggling, porpoising around in Silverstone, especially in this corner. The cars porpoise around, and we got lots of bottoming, and that basically has, makes the car really unstable, and it's really a handful to drive. Right. So qualifying. We've got 1 minute to go. We've got a Ferrari 1.4. We've got an Alfa Romeo. And we've got Savi Ratnaika in third, with the Alpine of Savi Ratnaika in third place. We got the two Mercedes afterwards with 5 and 6, and the McLaren of Nemo in 7th, which is a pretty good time. So good job, Nemo. Good job, everyone else. These are very competitive times. We are looking forward to see who's gonna come up at the top here in the first race. Some of the drivers, something which I did as well in the last race, I took the first race as a testing round to test myself against the drivers and how to compete with them and gauge myself as to where and how to basically, especially when it comes to battles. How to navigate around the car and get yourself a bit of a gauge. So this first race, although it's part of the championship, some of the drivers will use it as as a testing round. So some of the drivers, you may see that some of the drivers that you may have expected to see at the top, are there right in the midfield. But do not worry, because they can always improve. And even though it's championship, it's also about improving yourself and improving your driving skills, and that's what competition is all about. And the qualifying has ended, and we've got drivers competing their lap times. And as it stands, we got Melo in pole position right now. He's crossing the line, and he's on pole. Melo is on pole for Ferrari, and we've got Alfa Romeo in second place of Abdullah with a 1:27.9. We've got Alpine in the Alpine. We've got Sabirat Naik with a 1:28.4. He's all in the pits, and Andrew's gonna compete his lap time here. Let's see if he improves. He crosses the line, and he's still fourth fastest, but with a 1:28.5. And we've got Naviera, the two Mercedes, 1:28.7. and 1:28.7, 1:29.2, and then we got Rivinu, Nimeka, Mayanta, Sanuka, Mithila, Shanu, who are making the remaining of the grid. So that's an exciting qualifying, like I said, and now we're gonna have a bit of a break, and this is gonna give the guys some time to set up their race strategies, the pit stops. So when it comes to race strategies, there are twofold. You either can put in a full fuel load into your car and just focus only about pitting, but that makes the car a bit heavy as well, and your lap times will be compromised as well. So what the drivers do is they include refueling. So refueling is allowed in this tournament, and they'll basically break. So they'll refuel to about 14 laps for the first stint, and then when they come in to put the tires, they'll refuel for the next day. So Martin Brundle says, and as Crofty says, It's lights out and away we go. It's a good start by Mello, followed closely by Savi, and everyone seems to be going down into turn one unscathed. But we've got a couple of crashes and spinners right there into turn one. We've got the Alpine of Savi, who has actually spun, and the Mercedes are coming up on top. They're tangling actually from between each other. So it's basically Andrew, Navira, Rashida, the two Mercedes, and Abdullah has had an issue, it seems, and has gone down into 11. So both the second place and third place drivers have gone down the grid due to issues or having incidents into turn one and into turn two. So it's a very incident-packed first couple of corners. And we are now with Rashida, who's chasing down Andrew, and who is getting chased by the Red Bull of Rivino. Everyone seems to be very well spaced out and in their own battles. We are on board with Navira, who's getting all kinds of heats from Andrew in the Ferrari. So it's Ferrari versus Mercedes here at Silverstone, with Mello at the front, extending his lead to 1.8 seconds. Andrew followed by Navira, Andrew, Rashida, Rivino, Nemo in the McLaren in P6. So that's a good start from him as well. Mayant in P7, Shanu in P8. And Savirat Naika, who is now trying to make up places in 9th, and we got Sanuka in 10th, and the Alfa Romeo of Abdullah in 11th. So we are on lap 2. We are in the McLaren of Nimeko, who's trying to go down the inside of Rivino. It's a great battle now coming up. I hope there's no dramatic ending here at Cobbs. Now Nemo is having a go in the slipstream and is trying to take the inside, and he's taken the position. Wow, that's a nice overtake by Nemo, who's now into 5th place. That's a great move. And he carefully calculated the move and to make sure that they don't go into Cobbs head to head, and there aren't any incidents like we did last year in the Silverstone Grand Prix. Sorry guys to mention it a number of times, but it is an iconic incident. We are now on board with Shano in the Aston Martin, who's actually hunting down Mayantha. Mayantha and Shano have both been overtaken by Savi. So Savi is making up places. The places that he lost at the start is now up to 7th, and he's chasing down the Red Bull of Nim. With Nemo, and the Red Bull has overtaken. Sorry, my stream is getting broken down, but it's a great battle now going between these two. It's head to head. Can we go back again? Yes. It's a heated battle between these two. The pride is at the. Yeah, okay, I got the stream back again. Thank you, Sash. So now the Red Bull of Rivino has actually got past Nemo, and Nemo is actually hunting down, trying to get the slipstream of Rivino. Navira is now just 7/10 behind Mello, so he's actually caught up. So the Mercedes are in the hunt for the win here, and Nemo has actually spun. I wonder if it was with a battle with the Red Bull. So the top four are actually in quite in contention, with Raptor now 2.4 seconds behind the leader, but he's actually keeping up with the top three. So I wonder if he's actually saving tires himself and trying to play the long game. So if you look at the tire strategies, Melo is actually in the C1, while Navira and Endra are both on the softer compounds in the C2 and in the C3. So Melo is actually taking out the hardest compound out of the way in the first stint itself, with the Mercedes drivers, Navira being in the C2 and Rashita also being in the C1. So that may be also another reason why Rashita is 2.9 seconds behind Andrew, but still in contention. So never say never. Everyone in the top 4 has a chance at the podium and has a chance at the win as well. So interesting as far as I hear, as far as I've seen in the practice sessions, actually looking around, the Mercedes, the Red Bull, and the Alfa and the Alpine were actually very close in the lap time. So we expect to see a very well for championship right throughout the 8 races between these 4 teams. So it's going to be a four-way battle to the championship. So let's see. Race control is actually saying that the pit window is open on lap 22. And we actually see a spin. We actually see an incident with Navira going out into turn 1. He actually spins out. Has a bit of oversteer into turn 1, turn 2, turn 1 and turn 2 complex. And Rashida now is into the podium positions. So like I said before, everything is open, and Nemo has actually come up into 5th place. 5th place, and has overtaken Navira, who has actually spun. And we've got Namayanti 7th. So positions all are jogging up and down, and Navira has got past. But I think there's been an incident between Navira and Nemo. And Mayanta now chasing down Nemo, who actually spun. But Nemo is actually trying to scamper away and try to regain the lost time in all of his spins. But still a good job for Nemo to be in 6th place. So we are in lap 5. I feel alone by myself here in the commentators room. But next time around, I might have a partner by my side. So I will make sure to keep you guys also entertained by looking at your chats and whatever you guys are speaking. So as I said earlier, I'm not having access to the live feed or the live comments, both on YouTube and Facebook. So apologies for that. Incidents are going all over the place, and we've got actually Navira, who is gone into the pits. So most probably he's going to put another set of tires and try to go for repairs, which is actually might be a good strategy for him, as he can basically, when you have an incident and you have a damaged car, you basically lose performance. So it's better to you'll actually gain time, and you actually gain performance as well if you come in and do the necessary repairs into the pits. So if you've got Rivino also coming into the pits. So we've got the first round of stops, happening right now. Some of the guys who actually have gone into the C4s and into the C3s will be coming in. We've got the 2 Ferraris now up in 1 and 2. So Melo is leading the race, and we've got Andrew in P2, 2.9 seconds behind Melo, and Rashita, who's 5 seconds, who's followed by Rashita, who's 5 seconds behind Andrew. Savi now is up to 4th place at the moment, so that's a good recovery by him. Savi is pretty fast, and is closing in at Rabbit. Is setting purple lap times. Savi Ratnayaka. So still we cannot count Savi Ratnayaka out of the win for this race. He's a really fast driver. I had the pleasure of racing myself with him when I was in Sri Lanka a couple of months ago. It's really fast, and he's really improving every race he does. So it's really good to see Savi contending with the top runners as well. Shanun, and Shanu is in P7. He's pretty much trying to close up on Mayanta. They're both on the same tire compound. So just a bit of a breakaway from the race as it's happening right now, and we got Sanuka right now who are all setting purple lap times. So I think the front runners are managing the tires, managing their pace, not trying to eke out too much of these tires. Now, how the tires are basically made in sim racing, especially in Assetto Corsa, for me especially, that was the key of having performance last year, is you basically have to play around with the setup to make sure that the tires are have even temperature distribution right throughout, especially with the RSS car mods. And the more you have equal temperature, you make sure that the tires do not grain properly. As a racing studio, the mods, if the tires grain properly, you lose a bunch of performance, and you end up having all sorts of oversteer and understeer right throughout. Running on board into maggots, and then Beckett's, into Chapel with Sanuka. We are now on with Sabi Ratnayaka, who's now into P4, still chasing down Raptor in the Mercedes. They are spaced to about 1.1 second gap between each other. So Rashida will do everything he can to try to keep him behind and try to keep the podium position. Right now, he's not up to challenging the two Ferrari drivers at the top, but let's see. So if you see the drivers also in front using DRS, it's because the game actually loves the use of DRS. Unlike the F122 games, which I know has got the DRS zones, but the Assetto Corsa mods basically allow the drivers to use DRS, and that is also sometimes another advantage alongside your ERS. So we've got Andrew pitting up. And let's see what tires he's gonna put on. He might want to put. He'll be thinking about the strategy right now, which tires he's gonna put in. And we've got Savi and Rashida moving up a place, and Andrew is coming around and he's put on the C1 tires. So he's put on the hard compound tires. So let's see if his strategy is gonna pay up. One thing that Andrew is really good at, he's really good at calculating and planning up the strategies. Last year we had at Spain, was it? All of a sudden he's put in the super soft tires, the tires which actually degrades quite a lot quite quickly, and he immediately took usage of it. I think he started in the second row, if I'm not mistaken, and he basically took the lead, and and we've got a crash of Mitilov the Haas. Sorry guys, I was jumping about last year's, and we've got the Haas, who's basically had a heavy shunt into the hangar straight, I think, if I'm not mistaken. We've got now Savi going down on Raptor, on Rashida now in the Mercedes. Rashida nicely defending his line, and we've got Navira also, and we've got Navira who's getting actually lapped. That's a head-on battle between these two. There's so much respect going on between these two. It's a clean battle right around, but seems that Savi has the pace to overtake Raptor at this stage of the race, but Raptor is not giving up. So both are using the DRS, and down the inside, Savi is gonna go down the inside of Raptor, and he gets ahead of Raptor, but now Raptor will have the slingshot out of this corner, and he's going to use the slipstream of Savi. If he can get that, he might have a good slip. And try to move at cops, but he's still too far behind. So it looks like Rashid is having tire issues. Or tire warm-up issues. But yeah, so he's still right behind, and Nabila is also gaining up on, even though Nabila is on 10th place, he's actually gaining up on Raptor. So I may believe that Rashida will come into the pits in this lap and try to put a new set of tires. Sabi hasn't put it in yet, so let's see. Rashida is not fitting in, but Nafira has got past. He has unlapped himself and compromised Raptors' run. So that's a bit of a mix-up between the two teammates. That's a bit of mix-up. No. So it's as a side. So Rashida has got a compromise, and Nabil is actually trying to push himself to unlap himself from the leaders. He's pushing his tires a bit too much, and he should be. If you ask me, he should be focusing on catching up the pack instead of pushing and fighting with the leaders. So Shanu has caught up with. Shanu is 2.3 behind. 2.3 behind Navira. Mello is still leading the race on the C1 tire. So, like I said, the hard compound tire. Starting on the hard compound seems to be the preferred strategy. But we've got Andrew, who's just 13 seconds behind, 12.7 seconds behind Rashida, and he's totally. We've got Navira, who's actually having a battle with Shanu in the Aston Martin, and he's got past Shanu as well. Now he's into P8, and he's now hunting down Nemo in the McLaren. So Rashida seems to be pitting in right now. Yes, he's coming into the pits, and he's put on a new sets of boots. And he's coming out of the pits. And into in P4. He's got a quite a big gap to Mayantha in P5 of 1 minute, of about a minute or more. Mello is still leading the race. He should be coming in the next few laps as well, and he might want to cover up Andrew, who's also trying to close in the pit window and try to see if he can basically gain on. If you can gain a couple of seconds on Mello and try to see if you can battle with him at the front. Savi is in third place, just 9.7 seconds behind the two Ferraris, and the Mercedes of Rashida is in fourth place, just 3 seconds behind Savi. So he's on the new set, and he's catching up the Alpine driver. Abdullah is now has come himself now into P5 after the first lap mix-up that he had. So it's good to see the two drivers who actually had a first lap incidents right at the top. And Nemo is doing a great race in P6, minding his own business in the McLaren, so that's a good race as well. Mayan, and we've got Navir now, who is just 2.6 seconds behind Mayantha, still chasing him down, so he's going to look to come into the top 5 as well by pushing in on this set of tires. Shanu is in P9, and the Red Bull of Rubino is in P10. We got Sanuka in P11, and Mithila and the Haas in P12. And Mithila, I think, must have come into the pits for repairs and is still continuing in the race. So if we talk about more about this track has held 57 has held 57 events. There have been 32 overall winners. I'm talking about in the real life of Formula One, and the 36 pole sitters, and the most successful drivers on this track has been the 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton. We got Alain Prost with 5 wins and Michael Schumacher with 3 wins. And the most successful constructors here in Silverstone is Ferrari, McLaren and Williams. And maybe in the virtual world as well, we might see a Ferrari 1-2 today. We are still in lap 14 with 13 laps to go. Still a lot to happen. Still a lot to take place. Never say never until the last few seconds. I don't want to put a commentator curse on anyone, but especially with the power cuts and with the fiber connection sometimes playing up one on the drivers. You never know, you might lose. You might end up losing quite a lot, especially if you are at the front of the pack and leading the race in the top 3. Right, we've got Navier now going down into Cops and into the fast section of Maggots, Beckett's, and Chapel. Hunting down Nemo, who is now he's come up actually one place, so he's got ahead of Mayantha. He's now chasing down Nemo, and just 12 seconds. So if Nemo can keep up the pace, he can finish a solid P6 for McLaren. And Andrew has basically gained 4 seconds up on Mello. So we are still yet to see Mello, who's leading in P1 to pit, and we'll see now where he will come with respect to Andrew at the back. I really like to see the number of seconds lost in the pit lane. When the drivers stop, I'll get you that data in the next race for the next track. Right now, I don't have that data with me. So we are running on the helicam shot of the Ferrari. Still, he's on 14 laps. He's on 14 laps out of the 27, and Andrew is actually catching him up. I've seen about 5 to 6 tenths per lap. So it's just 23.8 seconds behind. So let's see if Mello is gonna pit in. He's still showing me on the C1 tire, so he has not pit in yet. So the top 3 are on the C1 tires. So Savi is also doing a great race right now, and actually Rashid has actually caught up with Savi Ratnayaka and is just 3.9 seconds behind Savi. And we've got Abdullah also now in P5, in solid P5, just 48 seconds behind. And we have the first DNF. We have a DNF. Now, I think maybe this is because a connection issue. We'll get back to you in the post-race results, and we'll let you know what has happened to Abdullah, but he was running a solid P5 even after the results. So, like I said, I don't know whether if I put the commentators, guys, sorry guys, don't kill me. But hey, that's that's really unfortunate for Abdullah. He had a pretty good qualifying, but on the race itself, it's a race that he has to forget, and maybe in the next race at Spa he can basically have a good comeback and score a good load of points. We are on with Mello. We are on lap 16 out of 27. So the race duration here is about 45 minutes. And Mello is pitting. So he's going to be really interesting right now. Mello is pitting right now on lap 16. And Andrew is just 22 seconds behind. 22 seconds behind Mello. So it's going to be really interesting to see if Andrew is going to get in front of Mello in his tires. But here's the catch. Melo is going to have new tires. So Andrew is coming now in the final couple of corners. Let's see now if he can get ahead of Melo, and I think he does. So Andrew goes into the lead. His strategy of pitting early has actually worked, and the undercut basically has worked on Melo. So Andrew is the leading Ferrari right now, with Melo now with new tires. So there's going to be quite an intensive battle right now in the two Ferraris. If Melo can get those temperatures up in the tires, he's on the C2 tires. But let me get this another fact which we saw in the race. The C2 tires did not work properly, unlike the C1. So right now Andrew is on the better tire, the harder tire, which is the better tire around Silverstone on these track conditions that the race directors has put in, has inserted for today's race. So this is going to be quite an interesting battle between two Ferrari drivers. So it's a change on the lead. Like I said, for those of you joining right now, Melo was leading the race up till now into the pits. Andrew basically pulled out the undercut, pitted early, and put in a set of C1 tires, and he actually caught up with, he actually overtook while Melo was in the pits. And seems to be Melo now pushing on his set. He's got those tires into temperatures just 3.5, was 4 at the exit. So he's put in quite a couple of sectors and just 3.1 now. So he's pushing now to get that place back. So as it is, and we've got a spinner right now, and that's Rashita who spun. He was. We are on with Shanu, who's hunting down the Red Bull of Rivinu. So Rashita has actually spun out, and he's struggling a bit with the car. He's struggling a bit with the tires. So we might see his next race is Spa, which is one of his favorite tracks. So we might see Rashita, come in for redemption at Spa, but still he's in 4th place. So that's a good load of points for the start of the championship in these new cars. Most of the drivers didn't have that much of practice as well, with their daily personal lives, with work also coming in. Navir is actually hunting down Nemo, and is actually gone past Nemo in the Hangar Straight. So that's Navir now is up to P5. And has quite a lot of catching up to do to Rashida. So Rashida has a good chance of keeping his 4th place. So it's the two Ferraris with the Soul Alpine in 3rd place, and the two Mercedes drivers. And you see the two McLarens. Mayantha is in. So we got McLaren, Nemo in the McLaren, and Mayantha is actually at Alpine. So Alpine So we are on lap 19 out of 27, and the top two actually have closed up. So let's go on the top two. Melo has caught up with Andrew. That's blistering pace from Melo on the new tires. So it's just 5 tenths up. So let's go. It's the battle of the Reds. Are we going to see Red, or are we going to see Melo pull up one on Andrew? Andrew's going to defend like crazy now. Seems that Melo has quite a good pace in this Ferrari this time around, this year. So he's nicely trying to gauge where Andrew is braking, and he's now using the DRS, trying to use the ERS. He's going down the Hangar Straight. And he spins. Melo spins. He lost the car on the Hangar Straight while trying to pull up on the outside into Stove. And he spins. I don't know whether he has flat spotted those tires, but he spins. And Savi actually has caught up with Melo, and just 8 is actually 8 tenths now. We are riding on board with Savi. So all the effort that Melo has done to catch up on Andrew has gone down, and he needs to catch up now. I hope that he hasn't flat spotted those tires. So let's see if we can do that, catching up again and get behind Andrew and try to pull out the overtake. But Andrew now is 5.7 seconds ahead. We see now Melo is actually breaking away from Savi, is just 1.2 seconds now ahead. So let's see, maybe he hasn't spotted those tires, but that's a missed opportunity for Melo, but he's going to give it another chance again. So Melo lives for another day. Everyone seems to be going into cops, into turn 9. Everyone seems to be going pretty wide, so I wonder if they're trying to take that corner flat out and trying to take the corner flat out and not get any penalty for track limits. So 1.3 is the gap between Savi and Melo, and Andrew. And Andrew has gone into the pits. Andrew is into the pits, so his C1 tires. So his C1 tires have not lasted up. So Savi now is into P2, and that's wonderful. If you can keep this up, if you can keep this up, Savi is going to have a good result by the end of the race. Andrew now is in P3. Did Savi pit in? I don't know if race control can give me a heads up if Savi pitted or not. But yeah, Savi is up to P2, and Melo is leading. The race. So Andrew is now on sets of new boots and just 22 seconds behind. This duet of the Alpine and the Ferrari, and then we've got Rashida into 4th place. He's solidified that position with Nabila into 5th. We got quite about 6 laps to go in this race, so we've had quite a bit of an exciting race this time around in Silverstone. I think last time around it was Rashida and Fawzul up until the last lap that they had quite a good scrap. While I was doing a lonely race in P3. Then we've got Mayantha in P6. In the other Alpine, we got Mr. Red Bull, Revino in P7, Nemo in P8, and Shanu in the Aston Martin in P9, Sanuka in P10, and Mithila in the Haas in P11, and we've got our one and only DNF of Abdullah in the Alfa Romeo. So Nemo is hunting down Red Bull. He wants to take the P7. And go one up in the standings. I think he might have pitted while being in P6. So let's see how this goes. Andrew is slowly catching up but not as fast as Melo did on him, but he's slowly catching up on his set, and he's on the C4 tires. So he's trying to do qualifying laps. And trying to catch the two in front, at least even for P2. If they can get Ferrari 1-2, it's going to be quite great for Ferrari, for the constructors. And the battle will postpone to the next race at Spa for the two who's going to be. And we see a change in position in the lead. Sash, if you can go on to the leaders, Savi has gone into the lead. I wonder if Melo had an issue once again and has spun, because the gap is quite big. So I think Melo must have had another issue, and Savi is in the lead in the Alpine, guys. This is extraordinary, guys. The guy who actually had spun out at the start of the race is now leading the race here in Silverstone. and Andrew is pulling in purple lap times, and he's just 14 seconds behind Mello. And if Mello had actually had the spin, that means that his tires are not in good condition right now. So I think the best thing to do because there are still 5 laps to go, if Mello can do a quick pit stop and put on the C4 tires, he might have quite a good set of new tires and try to battle up for P2 and P3, because at the rate that Andrew is lapping, which is now 13 seconds right now, Mello will have quite a hard time battling with Andrew, because Andrew is now is having the C4 tires. But let's see. I hope that we hope that Andrew doesn't run out on the grip of those tires by pushing so hard. So for those of you who are into sim racing, for those of you who are into Assetto Corsa and who are actually into iRacing, SRL actually has community races week in, week out, and you guys can join the Discord group and basically start racing with us on SRL and be part of this wonderful community, wonderful racing community, and also take part in other races, in other tournaments such as the GT tournaments, and also take part on iRacing events if you guys are iRacing sim races. And I think the drivers are actually also into ACC, which is Assetto Corsa Competizione. So it's a community which has got a lot of talent, a lot of exposure to sim racing, and so please do join if you guys have a machine, if you guys got all these sim racing platforms. It doesn't matter if you don't have a wheel, because we got guys driving in joysticks, in console joysticks, guys driving with a mouse. I think Curie is not here. Curie is one of those guys was one of who has actually grown quite a lot from last year, and is really strong opponent, Curio. So he's not taking part in this race, but he might try to take part in the next races. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's had an issue with his PC. So Andrew now is just 12.7 seconds behind. We've got 3 laps to go, so I don't think that Andrew has that time to catch Mello. So it's gonna be Alpine with what it was few laps to go, a Ferrari 1-2 with a battle of the 2 Ferraris. Now Savi is leading the race and he's going to take the win today. But never say never, it's 2 laps to go, so you never know. And Mello is trying to push, but it's just 4.5 seconds. Savi is up 4.5 seconds and maintaining his lap times, and giving no quarter to Mello to catch up. Rashida now has just pumped in a 132.0. So even on the C1s, Rashida is having a hard time to keeping those performance up on with his tires. So we might see him practice up a bit more. Had a chat with Rashida just before the race. So with his work, he didn't have that much practice time on this track. It's a Silverstone track which we used last year, but with a bit of an extra track mod added to it. So it's got a different sort of a grip. So these things happen for sim races when when the track that you practice on and the track that you're actually racing on are quite different. So you are quite left out to figure out the driving style on a new surface. Nabira into P5. We got Nabira into P5, still 38 seconds behind Rashida. Nemo is now up into P6, so he's got ahead of Rivino. Mayanth into P8, Shanu in the Aston Martin into P9, Mitila and Sonica. So we are on the penultimate lap of the first race of the SRL Championship. What a race has it been? It's been a mix at the top with the Ferraris leading at the for the most part of the race, and now we've got Savi Ratnayaka, who's actually had an incident. In the first lap, was bumped down to the last positions, and he had quite a good quite a good comeback, and is now leading the race and on to winning this race. Melo, who's had a couple of spins, is in P2. He's trying to push hard as he can to try and catch Savi. It's just 3.7 seconds now behind Savi, but with one lap to go, I think it's going to be quite hard for Melo to catch Savi and try to have one up in this race. Andrew has quite close the gap to Melo is just 11 seconds, but still, once again, it's the same story for him. And we are on the final lap of this race, and we are with Savi, who's done a brilliant race, and we gotta admire, and putting up this wonderful performance this year out in the Alpine. And to take the first win of the season will give him good motivation for the whole season, and it's going to be a good start for him. And good motivation into the rest of the season, which is, we've got 7 more races to go, quite a lot to happen, and this is the best possible start for any driver to win in the first race and have such a comeback from after the incident into turn 1. So Savi now is going down the hanger straight, the last couple of corners for Savi Ratnayaka in the Alpine. He must be shivering down. In his hands, in his legs, trying to keep the car into, and he's taking it really slowly with Melo, who has actually caught up with him. He's taking it really slowly, so he wants to make sure that he wins his race, and he crosses the line, and it's Savi Ratnayaka in the Alpine, winning here in Silverstone, winning the first race of the championship, with Melo coming in second and Andrew coming in third, completing the podium positions, and Rashita finishing up a very well kept fourth place. So he's gonna go now, and he's gonna try and see on things to work out for the next race at Spa, and he's gonna come up with vengeance into the next race. And Navira into P5. Navira is gonna finish into P5. Even he also had a couple of incidents, and he also had quite a good strong comeback. So that it's the Alpine, the 2 Ferraris, and the 2 Mercedes, followed by Nemo in the McLaren, who's also finished because he was lapped by the leader. So that's a great finish by Nemo in the McLaren. So congratulations goes to him. And we've got the Red Bull of Rubino in P7, Mayantha in P8, the Aston Martin in P9, and Mitila and Sanuka in P10 and P11, and our DNF of Abdullah in the Alfa Romeo. So what a race has been. I hope you enjoyed. I'm sorry guys if I uttered bullshit, so let me know in the comments if I've done anything wrong, if I've said anything wrong. I hope you guys, and looks like the guys are having quite a bit of a chat. So thank you guys for joining, and we'll see you guys in the next race. And I'm sure that the next race I'll have a partner with myself to also give you guys the singular version, because if I speak in singular, I'm sure I'm going to blabber. I'm going to break. So see you guys next time. Thank you for joining, and have a good night.